I'm Christy from Executive Assistant Community. Um, you probably know me, but thank you for coming today. We have Nancy Nachman from Meetings Concierge, and she is going to kind of dive in a bit to how to plan offsite meetings and give us a lot of her tips that she's learned and kind of give us her background on what got her into this. And we definitely have time for Q&A, so we can do a Q&A at the end. But if you have any questions along the way, I'll monitor the chat and I can also read them to her. And we have someone doing transcription, and so that is also in the chat. All right. Well, two more people coming in. Oh, three more people coming in, and then let Nancy take it from here.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to say good morning because I'm coming to you from Scottsdale, Arizona, where I live. I'm not sure what time it is where all of you are coming in from, but it's a gorgeous, beautiful spring morning here. And I'm so happy to have everybody coming in to get some great tips today about how to not get stressed out when your boss says, find me a hotel, we're going to have a meeting. And I like to share initially when I'm meeting new people like you today, although some of our customers I think are on as well. What brought me to the knowledge that I have about planning meetings? And my background is in hotel sales. So I was the salesperson that you would call and ask, how much is it going to cost and is it available? And my customers were executive assistants throughout my hotel career. And I'm a very giving person. I love to help people and make people's lives easier, better. And it always made me feel a little bit difficult inside when I couldn't share things that I knew that could potentially not make your meeting come off to be as successful as you had planned and hoped. Like, I would know your direct competitors were already booked into the hotel over your dates. I would know that my spa was going to be closed over your meeting dates. I would know that my hotel was going to be oversold and some of your guests would be relocated to another hotel. But I was paid handsomely by hotels to not share that information with you because my job at the time was to fill every guest room and every meeting room every single day of the year for my hotel. And salespeople make a bonus on the money that you spend on your meeting. So the more I could charge my customer, the more my bonus reflected. And so I could not share with my customers the things that I knew that could potentially hurt them. And as a giver and somebody who likes taking care of people, that always bothered me. I would cringe inside and I literally would sit in my chair and think, how could I have a service that could help executive assistants who plan meetings to make it easier, make it better, make you the hero, and make sure your boss always said, wow, that was absolutely perfect. How did you do that? So today we're going to talk about the first thing that we're going to talk about is what do you do and where do you begin when your boss says, find me a hotel for a meeting? So in the hotel world, in the meeting planning world, we say that the first thing that you need to have when that request comes in is an agenda. What is on the agenda? The agenda is the dates of your meeting, when the guests are going to arrive, when they're going to depart, how many guest rooms you need each night, or suites that you might need for your VIP executives or guests. Uh, what meeting space are you going to require? What is the start time? What is the end time? And how many guests will be seated in those meeting rooms? And what style of seating you're after? What little things are you looking for? Do you want windows in your meeting room? Do you need high ceilings? Do you want a room that does not share an air wall with another meeting room? So all of these little tiny details that your boss probably never thinks about is on your responsibility list. And you're going to have to sit with your executive and pull this information from them because hotels cannot quote availability or pricing unless they know exactly what you're looking for. If you tell them, I'm not sure if we're arriving Tuesday or Wednesday, well, then a hotel doesn't know. Do I have the rooms to offer you on Tuesday, or are you not coming in until Wednesday? So, all these little things that you need to gather before you reach out to a hotel, the agenda, you've got to sit with your boss and go through this list and get those answers so that you can check availability and collect the pricing for what you're looking to do on the food functions that you're going to host. And little things like, do you want a separate room for your meals, or can you have a buffet set up outside of a meeting room and everyone sits in the meeting room and eats? So all the little things about your vision of this meeting, you have to kind of know up front. And as you probably already know, agendas constantly are changing. They can even change up through the time that you're checking into the hotel and you're canceling a breakout meeting room or you're adding a lunch at the last minute. But in order to really check availability and get answers to your boss about what is available, you have to have the answers to those questions and kind of build an agenda. So my first tip on this tip is to elevate yourself as a meeting planner to your executive to show them that you have the knowledge to plan a meeting and make it successful by having these questions answered initially. The next tip that we want to talk about is, how do you go about finding a hotel? It's there are various ways that you can do it. You can simply go to a search engine like a Google or a DuckDuckGo or any of the search engines that you like to use and type in golf resorts in Florida for meetings or boutique hotels in Nice, France for meetings. And options will come up, and you can actually go through the hotel's websites often to send an RFP, a request for a proposal, to get hotels to respond to you about what is available and what is not. There's another incredible service out there that exists in every city in the world, and they're called Convention and Visitors Bureaus. The short is CVB, Convention and Visitors Bureaus. And if you Google or search on any of your preferred search engines for the Memphis, Tennessee Convention and Visitors Bureau. Through that portal, you'll always see a link that says meeting planners. And if you click on that, it will lead you to hotel venues. It will lead you to venues for offsite dining for groups. And most importantly, it will lead you to salespeople who work for the Convention and Visitors Bureau, who you can contact and tell them exactly what you're looking for in their city. They will send out your request to the venues, and the venues will respond directly to you with their availability. So that is a really good tip to know about, to where you begin. Sometimes your boss will say, I want this particular hotel in this city. If that hotel is not available, you're going to have to come up with alternatives. The other thing that sometimes happens is when you've chosen a city to have a meeting in and you start looking for accommodations, you might get turned away from every hotel because there's a citywide convention taking place in the city over your dates. You never want to go to a city where there's a huge convention taking place anyway. Hotels are not available and they're more expensive. Transportation to get to that city is increased. Transportation to get around the city is increased. And availability of venues for offsite dining and activities are increased. So you want to try and avoid cities that are having large conventions over your dates anyway. You see, the key to planning a meeting is flexibility. When our customers come to us and they say, oh, we're changing our dates and we're changing our city and we're adding more rooms, I'm sorry, they say. But don't be sorry. This is part of planning an event. You have to be flexible because people are constantly coming at you with their idea. And so things change along the way. And you just have to know that part of planning a meeting is being very flexible. So my tip about this also is, take your time, look for the hotel options, and present a list of hotels you're looking at to your boss before you start shopping. Because you might have hotels on your list that the boss might say, no, this isn't what I'm looking for. So don't waste your time, in other words, looking for hotels that may not match the vision of the meeting that your boss is having you help plan and find a place to host. So run the list by your boss, and as you start collecting availability, you can present a spreadsheet of options with costs so that you can narrow down your choices. The other question that had come up when Christy and I were talking was, why is the food and beverage so expensive at hotels for events? I mean, you can pay $100 for a continental breakfast easily at hotels these days. Once you add the cost of the breakfast, the tax on top of that, and the service, which used to be maybe 15 or 18%. Now we see hotels charging 25%, even 27% the other day. We saw a hotel's service level is that high. Those items are typically not negotiable. A hotel will not reduce their service fee, and they can't reduce their tax amount. And typically they will not reduce the cost of food. So here is why. The simple tip and the simple answer to this is farm to table. And what that means is the item that you're serving your guests has to be coming from a farmer somewhere. So there's costs involved from that farmer to get this item to your hotel and onto the plate to serve to your guests. By the time that item is purchased and brought to the hotel, there are costs involved. The hotel has to store your items in a very safe way so that when your guests are served their beautiful meal, there is all kinds of food safety involved. They have to turn on the lights. They have to shampoo the rug. They have to clean the chairs and tables, put out the tablecloths, make sure your silverware is polished and clean. They have to put uniforms on the wait staff. They have to pay their wait staff and give them insurance and benefits. So by the time that item is served to your guests, there are so many costs involved that it's not the same as just going to the grocery store and buying an item and serving it on your own table at home. So food costs have gotten so expensive. We all know this, and it's a difficult item to negotiate. But we're going to talk about negotiating in a moment, but that is simply why hotels charge so much money on the food and beverage, because they have to. They're incurring so many costs to get the item to your guests and on their plate. And you all know that liquor at hotels, the cost of wine and a bar is so high because hotels can increase the cost, and they do, and pass it on to you. So there's not a lot of wiggle room when it comes to the costs of food and beverage at a hotel or at a venue. Um, when I talk about, this particular tip is, when you're talking to your hotel about your menu items, and they present a menu to you of options, have a conversation with your conference services person. Tell them, I'm on a budget. I don't know what my budget is, but I'm adding up the cost of your food and it's pushing my budget off the edge. So find out where they can be flexible because there are probably other ways to serve your food or present items to your guests that can help you save money. So have conversations with your conference services person to find out where the wiggle room is to help you save some money on food and beverage. You'll find this interesting, this tip. Hotels make their biggest profit on the guest room. So if a guest room is $200 a night, the profit to a hotel is about $175 because it may cost a hotel maybe $25 to have a housekeeper come in for maybe 20 minutes and quickly refresh your towels and make your bed and vacuum the floor a little bit. And so there's great profit on the guest room side. There's very little profit on the food and beverage side, as we just explained, because of the costs involved. So if a breakfast is $100, the profit to a hotel may be only $25, and that is why it's difficult to negotiate the cost of food down. But we'll talk about negotiation too. And we can go there right now because this is one of my most favorite topics to talk about. Some people are fearful of the word negotiation. They get like all like, oh, I don't want to ask and I shouldn't ask and I'm embarrassed to ask and it's hard to ask, but it really isn't. It's easy. I look at negotiation almost like a friendly conversation with a good friend. You're discussing things that are important to you. You're trying to find out if you are able to save your company money, which is really important in your position to be able to show your boss when the meeting is over the money that you have saved from the first quotes of pricing to the final contract and the final bill. For example, a hotel room is $200 a night. The first thing you want to say to a hotel when they quote a room rate, because again, remember, room rates are flexible and negotiable because hotels make their profit on this. You can tell the hotel, you're much more expensive, much higher rates than your friendly competitors. And you don't have to name names or share the hotels with them, but that's a start of negotiating to see how low will a hotel go to bring your room rate down, because that is the number one area where you can save money at a hotel. It's possible a hotel may say, you're our last group that we can accommodate, and I'm sorry, but this is the best rate that we can offer you. But it never hurts to ask. And when I was in hotel sales and my customers did not ask me to negotiate anything, they just signed the contract. Yay for me, because my hotel was making all this profit. And I never understood, like, why are you not trying to negotiate pricing on anything? So when you get quotes on your food, ask, can I get a discount off of your banquet menu prices? And oftentimes you can, if they'll give you a 10% discount, but every discount adds up to savings. So that's one area that you can try and negotiate. The cost of AV, which we'll talk about in a moment, why it is so high. Audio visuals is something else that you can ask for a discount off of the total price quote that they are bringing to you. And that is definitely a profit center for a hotel. So don't be afraid to ask for a discount on food and beverage. You can ask for complimentary rooms. So if you have a minimum of 30, 40, 50 rooms, per night. You can ask a hotel for a concession of offering you a complimentary room, one complimentary room for every 30 rooms that you book per night or every 40 rooms that you book per night. So ask for the complimentary rooms. And another good tip is suite upgrades. So if you have 40 guests coming and you have two VVVIP executives, ask the hotel to upgrade those two VIP executives to suites at the group room rate. So you're adding value and you're getting more concessions. And that is always very helpful, again, to showing your ultimate savings to a hotel. Another thing hotels will do for you is they would provide a welcome amenity for your top executive, maybe a fruit platter or a cheese board with a welcome note from the general manager of the hotel. Those little touches go a long, long way. So I love concessions. I love negotiating. Always feel comfortable having these conversations because it will, again, when the meeting is over and you can go to your executives and show them, these are the 5 things that I asked for that I got for us. And this is the amount of money I saved. The breakfast originally was $100. They ended up offering it to us for $88 a person. So any way you can show savings by having comfortable, friendly conversations. We can call it negotiation. But hotel sales managers are expecting you to negotiate. If you don't ask for things, like I said, formerly as a hotel salesperson, I was happy. But it is your role as a meeting planner to feel comfortable having those conversations and helping save your company money and add more concessions and more value. So let's talk about that beast called audio visuals. Um, it's important to know that hotels don't have a closet where they store equipment. There's no room for that. It just doesn't happen. They might have a screen, they might have a flip chart and markers, but that's it. And technology is constantly changing and improving. So equipment is getting smaller. Your needs are increasing because there's amazing items coming out where you can talk to your customers globally, kind of like on a Zoom we are now, the lighting, the sound, the recording. There's so many new items that are out there right now, and it's constantly changing. So what do hotels do when you give them your list of needs? They outsource it to an audiovisual company in the city where that hotel is. They rent it for you. Typically in hotels, they have an audiovisual company that they are connected with, that they connect you to. But keep in mind that audiovisual company isn't outsourced to the hotel, and the hotel is making a profit on the cost of your rentals. So when you get your list together of all the needs that you have, and here's a sidebar tip. If you do not know what you need, you're not an AV tech, because I'm not. But I would tell a hotel, this is how many people I have coming. This is the style of seating that we're going to be in. This is the meeting room that we're going to be seated in. What do I need to accomplish what I'm after here? How many screens? What is the sound like? Is there built-in board? So you'll have to know those answers and have a conversation. Your hotel sales manager will connect you with their audiovisual partner. And when they present a list of costs to you, immediately go for a 25-30% discount request. Immediately. They'll always discount some things, and you always want to get the best pricing possible. So don't be afraid to ask. They're expecting you to ask, and you will see that you'll be able to save money, even though, again, the costs are high because equipment is new, it's being rented, and hotels are already making a profit on what they are charging you. So I'm going to share 2 tips with you right now, and then we can go to any Q&A that you have. I have the number 1 tip when it comes to planning meetings. Number one, always, always, always go to the hotel and do a site inspection visit before you sign the contract. I always liken signing a hotel contract for a meeting like marrying somebody. Would you ever say, yes, I do, to somebody that you had not met in person? I don't think so. And you are spending an enormous amount of money to put on a fantastic meeting. You want people to learn, you want to give them a great experience, you want them to be in a safe neighborhood, you want them to be in a clean hotel, you want there to be all the nice things that are renovated and modern and great Wi-Fi. You cannot know this about a hotel if you just look on the web. It's impossible because hotels or any organization puts out the most beautiful pictures you've ever seen of their property. Of course, they're going to show off and make their place look beautiful, but that doesn't mean it's the right hotel for you. I wrote an article called Never Sign a Contract Before You Put Your Toes Under the Covers. And if you are unable to physically get there, there are virtual site inspections that many hotels can walk you through online, but you're not seeing the neighborhood and you're not experiencing the sights and the smells and the tastes of a hotel. Maybe you have a colleague in that city that can go and look for you and give their opinion because, again, you're spending a lot of money to put on this event. And what you see is not always what you get. And you don't want any negative surprises. Literally yesterday, a client flew from San Diego to San Jose to see a hotel she was sure was perfect. And it turned out to be very not perfect for a variety of reasons. Quickly called us, quickly said, can you get me to see these other two hotels because this one is not going to work. So I think my number one tip when people are planning meetings is go and see for yourself. And a lot of times, bosses or coworkers will think, oh, we know the Marriott. It's a fine hotel. We've been to this location. It's fine. Don't sign a contract until you go and physically see it for yourself. The second tip that I want to share with you that is of equal value is called a pre-con meeting or a pre-conference meeting. And this is something that would take place ideally the day before your guests arrive. If it has to be the morning of the day your guests are arriving, that's okay. Your conference services manager will set this up for you, and you have to request it. And it's common to have it happen. So don't be embarrassed or afraid to ask for this pre-con meeting. In the pre-con meeting, you'll have your conference services manager there, your sales manager there, the reservations manager, the audio visual tech, the food and beverage director, everyone that is going to service your meeting. You want to walk through exactly what is happening from arrival through departure. It's like the game of telephone. You tell one person, they tell another, they tell another. And by the time you get to the end, your information is completely different and it's not what your vision is. So, in order to make absolute sure that everything is going to come off without a hitch, all this time you've spent planning this perfect event, I've sat in on pre-con meetings with customers. It's amazing how things can fall through the cracks. Like, oh no, we canceled that lunch, or we added that breakout, and things are not set up as perfectly as you in your mind. So I cannot stress the importance enough of having a pre-con or pre-conference meeting with everyone in the hotel who's going to take care of you and your guests while you're there. So we have a little bit of time left. If anybody, Christy, do we have any questions that have come up from anybody or comments about things that I have shared so far that I could elaborate on more a little bit?
I haven't seen any in the chat, but also feel free to just ask the questions out loud. You guys don't have to type them. Does anybody have any questions right now?
Hi, Nancy. It's Carmen.
Hello, Carmen. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
One,
Yes, please.
yeah, actually, a comment where we've noticed at a lot of the bigger chain hotels, for example, Marriott and Hilton, they tend to use the same AV company. We do have our company does requests, have special requests when it comes to confidence monitors and how many laptops we're taking, how many screens we're going to take. So we've noticed that there's one company in particular that the hotels use that haven't always been up to par when we have the larger meetings. We're talking about over 100 people. So, Nancy, could you touch base a little bit about how the hotels feel about us bringing in our own tech companies, AV company?
Absolutely. So if you know that you have a relationship with your own tech company that you really would like to use at a meeting, the first conversation to have with the audiovisual company on site at a hotel is, we want to do this. And they will tell you there are charges that you're going to incur from our company for you to bring in your own. Maybe they want their own tech there to supervise and make sure that everything goes well. Maybe they're going to charge you for, you must use some of our equipment, even though you're bringing in some of your own. But the very first questions to ask, if you know that you want to bring in your own company or your own equipment, is to tell them right up front, this is what we want to do. Is this acceptable? And what kind of cost? Well, don't ask. They'll tell you the kind of costs that are going to be incurred if you do that. But always feel free to also include your sales manager in those conversations. Maybe your sales manager can help you through this. The AV salesperson is specifically there to rent and charge you the most that they can. And if your salesperson is involved and they know the value of your meeting, all your guest rooms, all your food, etc., maybe your salesperson can help you overcome some of those additional costs that the AV company is willing or wanting to charge you. Does that answer your question a bit?
Thank you very, very much.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure.
We had one come in the chat as well. What's a good workaround to visit the hotel if you're not in the city?
Like I said, yesterday I have a client in Boston who cannot get to Florida to see some hotels. So I asked her to reach out to some of her associates in her company. Has anyone been to that hotel recently? This community of executive assistants is an excellent resource for you to reach out and ask a question, because I see them on the chat sometime, like, who's been to New Orleans recently, or what's your favorite restaurant offsite in this city? So I would reach out to the executive assistant community and post the question, has anyone been here recently, or do you have any information on this hotel? Oh, here's another great tip. TripAdvisor. We use TripAdvisor all the time because people are so honest, and they write, like today, they check out and they write a review. So these are not old reviews. These are very current. If you see 7 great comments on TripAdvisor and one not so good one, that's Murphy's Law. Nothing's perfect. Things can fall through the cracks. An air conditioner cannot work in a room on a given night. Things do happen. But if 7 people say, incredible location, friendliest staff, incredible food, clean rooms, great Wi-Fi, then you can trust that you're probably heading in the right direction. And if you see the flip side of that, where there are 4, 5, or 6 very unpleasant comments for a variety of reasons, and 1 or 2 happy people, then maybe you want to avoid that hotel. It's a really great free resource that might help you if you're not able to physically get to a hotel. Once in a while, I will share with you that we have a customer who signs the contract and then goes on the site visit, and I cringe. I cringe because once you've signed the contract, you're locked in. You are not canceling unless cancellations do happen, but it's much, much better to choose something before you sign the contract, knowing that it's going to go well for you. I'm thinking of something that just popped in my head that I want to share with you, back to negotiations. And that has to do with cancellation. Because as we all have probably experienced, meetings sometimes, for a variety of reasons, have to be canceled. And you will have to pay the hotel the cancellation fee. So in your contract under cancellation, it will tell you if you cancel between now and then, you're going to owe so much percentage of the total bill. Always ask a hotel to also include in that scale the dollar amount that you would owe, not just 85% or 45% or 10%. Make sure in the cancellation grid on the sliding scale that they offer you the dollar amount, so that when the boss says to you, hey, we got to cancel the meeting, how much is it going to cost? You can look at your contract and give that answer right quick. But on another note about negotiation, about cancellation, is you want to always add in your hotel contract a rebooking clause, which would say, if we cancel, and of course you're paying the cancellation fees, that your company is allowed to use that cancellation money that you have paid the hotel toward a rebooked meeting that will take place within 1 year of the originally scheduled meeting dates, to give yourself some room of a year's time to rebook that meeting and use that money. Not every hotel will let you use all of your cancellation fees. They may come back to you and say, we'll let you use 50% of your cancellation fees, and you have to use it within 6 months. So again, think about negotiation as a friendly conversation with a good friend. It never hurts to ask, and go back to that hotel and ask for more. Ask for 75%. Ask for 9 months. So don't ever think that the negotiation game is over when the hotel responds to you. You can still ask for more. And eventually the hotel will say, that's it. This is the best we can offer you. But a rebooking clause is very important. And one more clause I want to share with you very quickly before we have to probably say our goodbyes is in the hotel contract. And again, we're talking about you adding this language to the existing hotel contract. When you're presented a contract from a hotel, think that and know that the contract is in favor of the hotel,
Okay.
not necessarily in favor of you. So you want to add things like the rebooking clause, and a no relocation clause is vital. A no relocation clause means that if the hotel is sold out, none of your guests will be relocated to another hotel. And like airlines that oversell their seats and ask for people to give their seat up, hotels in their dream world oversell their rooms every night, because that means they are going to be full every single night. And that's what a hotel is in business to do, fill their guest rooms every night of the year. So to protect your executives and your guests, you want to have a no relocation clause added, saying that your guests will not be dispersed to another hotel if that hotel is sold out. I think that's the the two most vital. We add a lot of other clauses for our clients, but to share with you today, a rebooking clause and a no relocation clause are vital to have in your hotel contracts.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all that. I think that you've had some great tips. I also, if you have a minute, I would love for you to share about your services. Um, because you're always so wonderful and happy to help anybody in the group. I think people should know that you don't charge them for services, and just share a little bit about how that works in case
I
anybody in the
will.
group needs help.
I am so happy. So, I talked in the beginning about wanting to help people, and the love of my life is my business, not my personal life. I have that one too. My work life is loving to take care of executive assistants who plan meetings and making them the heroes to their companies. So, I started my service, and there are two of us that run my company, myself and Leanne, who's on Zoom today. She's actually on Zoom, and it's the evening in Paris right now. She's traveling to an international global event and seeing family that's there. But the two of us work as a team. So our customers always have two of us helping them at the same time. So if one of us is traveling, as Leanne is now, I'm in the office, and we are constantly looking at the same emails and responding to the clients. So it's a really wonderful arrangement for us and for our customers. So the biggest question is, how is my service complementary to my clients, and why do we not charge for everything that we do? Hotels all over the world compensate us for bringing group business to them. And a group has to be 10 guest rooms per night or more for us to help you, because hotels will not work with us. The sales department will not work with us unless we have at least 10 guest rooms per night or more. And our customers come to us with their shopping list. I call it the shopping list. Yay, we're going shopping around the world. And our customers meet all over the world. They look for a variety of hotels. It could be an airport property for a training meeting. It could be taking over a luxury resort in an exotic location for a president's club. It could be a city hotel for a large sales meeting. So whatever their needs are, and they are varied, they come to us first. I always say we're the first phone call or the first email or text. And you give us your list, you give us your agenda. This is when we're arriving, departing, how many rooms we need. And if you don't share those details, we'll ask you, what are you doing on this night that nothing is happening at the hotel? And we do the shopping for you. We have a lot of electronic subscriptions to organizations who help us quickly go out to the world of hotels, gather information, put it in a spreadsheet, and send it to you so that you have all the hotels. You have their room rate, the cost of the meals, the cost of the meeting room, the tax, the service. So you can start to build a budget and figure out, how much is this meeting going to cost us? So we do all of that shopping and gathering for our customers. And then we hopefully set up your site inspection visit. You go and choose the hotel that you want to hold your meeting in. And the best part of what we do too is we negotiate the contract for our customers. So being from the hotel side, Leanne and I both were in hotel sales. We know where a hotel can be flexible on pricing and why a hotel may not be able to turn a room around in a certain amount of time to make a party for you and be able to explain to you, this isn't going to work here, but this hotel can offer this. So we are like your executive assistant when it comes to planning meetings. We do all the work for you. After we've negotiated the contract and we are comfortable with it, we pass it on to your organization for your review, your executives review, your legal team review. Ultimately, you sign the contract, you have your meeting, you pay your final bill, and then the hotel compensates us for bringing group business to them. So we have never, in all of our years of doing this, ever charged a customer a dime. And it's a wonderful business. It's like we're the middle person. And we just love taking care of our clients. It's fun for us. So I hope that you'll be able to utilize our service when you have to find a hotel for your next meeting.
That's great, Nancy. That was so helpful. I think there was a lot of great information here today. We recorded it, and I'll set up a transcript and maybe put these tips into the Facebook page so you guys can have them for your next time you're planning. I also will share Nancy's contact information if you have any upcoming events that you need to book. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Christy. I really appreciate all you do. It's wonderful.
No,
And
thank
just a shout out to Martine and Cynthia in Paris, too.
Yes, thank you so much. All right, this was so
So much,
wonderful.
everybody.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
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 Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.